What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Non-Negotiables podcast. For everybody out there watching on the On the Mark channel, there is a link in the description. Go ahead and click that link and work your way over to the Non-Negotiables podcast. We're going to be doing live streams over here from now on, and definitely subscribe and share the link and share the channel. And we're going to see if we can't build up this new YouTube channel because YouTube is attacking the On the Mark channel. If you hadn't heard, I did a small live stream earlier today, and it was clear that YouTube went and attacked my very first video, the first video I ever uploaded. They said that I was bullying John Podesta of the Hillary Clinton campaign fame. This was back in November of 2016, and they knocked my channel out, and so that was the end of that. Hey, I see you guys streaming into On the Mark. In the description, there's a link to the Non-Negotiables podcast live stream. If you guys wouldn't mind jumping over to that live stream and subscribing to that channel, I'm hoping to build that one up because this channel is on its last legs. So yeah, I had been kicked off of YouTube for the last 7 days, and this is my first day back. And man, couldn't pick the worst time to dump me off of YouTube. The election happened. Trump is down, but not out. A lot of people say. I don't know. I can't get myself to the place where I feel like this is this is going to be turned around. We've been talking about it for months. Trump had to get a landslide. They were going to do anything and everything possible to steal the election from Trump. So, now this is all going to the courts. I haven't followed up on exactly what's been going on with the different lawsuits. I heard the Democrats bragging about how Trump has lost 10 in a row on his lawsuits. I don't know if that's true or not. I didn't look into it, but maybe so. Maybe the courts are deciding against him. And honestly, I think that at the end of the day, I think that's what's going to happen. I think they're going to decide against him, even if he can prove the voter fraud. I think that these justices are going to look, especially the new woman, Amy Coney Barrett. I think she's going to be looking at these cases like everything that the Democrats said it would be. Right? I mean, and they had a reason for saying that it was going to be, that he was picking her to help him get reelected because the Democrats have had this lined up for a long time. And I want to get into all that. Again, those of you guys over on the On the Mark channel, if you could follow the link over to the Non-Negotiables podcast, that'd be great. I'm going to turn off the On the Mark live stream in a few minutes so that I can focus on just one stream at a time. So we were talking about how Trump had to knock this one out of the park, or they were going to do everything possible to take it away from him, and they told us that this was going to happen. Right away from the polls coming out, Biden 12 points ahead, 7 points ahead. Right across the board, there was this feeling of inevitability that Biden was going to win the election. And then we heard about the red mirage, right? You'll see as soon as the voting starts being counted, it's going to look like Trump is winning in a landslide, but then the mail-in votes are going to get counted. And, right then and there, it just sounded weird. Right? I mean, they don't know how each district, how each voting office was going to handle those votes. Nobody knew. whether those mail-in ballots were going to be held over or if they were going to be counted at the same time. But in fact, they did know, at least in the states that mattered. If you look at the states that did not have this universal mail-in ballots, the numbers reflected what we always thought they would. The numbers were, a Trump victory, an easy, comfortable Trump victory. But then all of a sudden, we're looking at 80 and 90% on these mail-in ballots for Biden. That doesn't even make sense. It's statistically impossible. There's a great Twitter account that's been doing the statistics on this for a bit, and just showing how these statistical anomalies, as he calls them, are beyond anomalies. They're statistical impossibilities. They would mean, for example, in Wisconsin, that there's such a monolith of Biden voters that, I mean, it just doesn't make sense. Numerically, statistically, it doesn't make sense. You get all these stories coming out about 138,000 votes hitting the count, 100% of them for Biden. The Clinton machine, they came out and they said, don't concede, no matter how dark it looks, don't concede, because at the end of the day, when it's all counted, Biden will have been the winner. Now, it seems pretty specific to me. That seems to me like maybe she had a plan. And I think they all did have a plan. There's a software program called the Hammer that was leaked a few years back, and apparently it's a voting it's a way to cheat at voting, and apparently the U.S. government has been applying it on some other nations' elections whenever it was necessary, and whenever they wanted to screw with their elections. And there's a lot of buzz surrounding Biden that maybe the reason the DNC handed Biden the win is because Biden had access to this Hammer program. Biden had the inner workings all set up because he was with Obama. And Obama was the one that was using this in other countries. And so the word is that Biden went to the DNC and said, listen, I can guarantee you a Democrat victory on the election. And sure as hell, it looks like he did. The whole thing stinks to high heaven. Somebody else was talking about how Hillary Clinton, Hillary Clinton won, or rather lost, some of these states by even smaller margins than Trump did. And they say, well, and she did not contest the election. She didn't cry foul. She didn't take this to the courts. And I think there's a very good reason why she didn't. I think she cheated her ass off. I think that unless that count came in for her, she was going to forcibly have to concede, because pushing people to review the count was going to be bad for her, bad for the Democrats. I think they tried to cheat and they just didn't push it hard enough. They didn't expect the turnout that Trump was able to drum up. All right, one more word to you guys over and on the mark, because it's hard for me to keep both streams going. There's a link in the description to the Non-Negotiables podcast. If you guys could just click that link and head over there and subscribe to that channel. I'm trying to build that channel up because YouTube has demonetized this channel and has knocked me clean off. And I'm sure that if they gave me a community guideline strike for a 4-year-old video, I'm sure that they're going to keep going, and On the Mark is not long for this world. So let's try and build up the Non-Negotiable podcast. Thanks you guys for being here, and I hope to see you over there on that other channel. But I'm going to sign off here on Mark. All right. Yeah, my arm was getting tired. So, yeah, as far as I can tell, we're looking at a situation here that I just feel is not going to clean itself out. I don't think that it's going to turn around. But you know what? I think without exception, had to eat my words every time I doubted Trump on anything. Um, every single time. And for some reason and in some way, he always pulls it off in the end. There's always something that comes through in the end, and he always does. I think Tim Pool's the one that says he slips on a banana peel and ends up doing a perfect double back flip, landing on his feet. So I don't know. I want to be optimistic. I really do. But at the end of the day, I can't, I don't think I can deal with the heartbreak if it doesn't pan out. But anyway, let's talk about the positives in all of this, because this is something I've been dying to talk to you guys about. Something that I've been thinking about, and for all of the stress and for all of the anger I feel at the Democrats changing the rules at the last minute, uh, you know, basically throwing our entire nation into a tailspin. There are some things that you got to admit are wonderful. And let's think about the last 4 years with Trump, and realize and get your head around the fact that it's been 4 years of 98% negative media coverage for this guy. He was impeached on a nonsensical reason with the Ukraine call. A call that, as it turns out, he was right to make. A question he was right to ask. Now with the Hunter Biden laptop, we realize that, in fact, the Biden crime family has been soaking up cash hand over fist from nation after nation. Not only that, the Hunter laptop. I think CNN came in at just about 3 minutes of coverage on the Hunter laptop. They talked about it just long enough to suggest that it was Russian disinformation. There's nothing that the media wouldn't do to trash Donald Trump. Like I said, 98% bad coverage. They impeached him. They said that his election was illegitimate, that it was because of Russia, with the whopping $80,000 in Facebook ads that they spent, or something along those lines. They told the American people that he's a racist day in and day out. They lied about him and said that he called our soldiers losers. They said that he wanted people to inject chlorine in their veins and that he didn't care about the people dying from COVID. They said that he didn't wear a mask because he was, being irresponsible. They talked about him. They trotted out, 20 different women who ended up entirely either recanting or just going away to say that he had sexually assaulted them. They did everything that they could to destroy this guy. They absolutely trashed him in an unrelenting assault. And yet, beside all that, all that's been accomplished is incredible. Now, I know that so much of it is going to be reversed with the Biden presidency, but still, if you think about it, I filled up my car with gas today. I paid $1.98 for gas. America is energy independent. I talk about the crime reform. I guess that's a good thing in a way. We are in no new wars. We are drawing down on some of these other pointless wars. We gave the finger to NATO and said, pay your part. All of the support for Israel. Man, those are a lot of accomplishments. And then look at the election itself. More than 70 million people voted for Trump. And here's the thing. How many more were disenfranchised? How many more Trump votes were just thrown away? I don't know. Maybe a handful, maybe many hundreds of thousands. I don't know. But still, registered Trump votes, and we know they're real, and we know they're true. Voter fraud and illegal votes are just not a thing we do on the right. We talk about it all the time. You know, the right in this country is playing by a different set of rules. We have rules. The left has no rules. It's so frustrating. So frustrating. You know, when the election results came through, and it was on the 4th, and things looked really bleak, I thought, you know, if this was Clinton, she would just take over the military, arrest Biden. You know, the left accused Trump and said, you know, Trump, he just won't leave. He'll declare himself emperor and he won't leave. And I found myself thinking, damn, you know, I'd almost take it. I'd almost take that, you know? Just because the thought of a Biden presidency would be so scary. But then morality, integrity, love of country, the realization that America is something more than just, you know, some borders on a map. You know, truly great nation. And, you know, obviously I desisted from those dreams of an authoritarian utopia under Trump. But yeah, as far as good things, those are some pretty good things. Now, of course, the bad things are that with this election and with all of the fraud and with all of the universal mail-in ballots, thank God that the left is lazy. And we know they're lazy, right? We see the whole push for socialism for what it is. You know, a bunch of 26-year-old grown-ups living with mom and dad. You know, they studied underwater basket weaving and lesbian dance theory. And so they are, you know, they have no interest in doing for themselves. So we see the laziness of it, but we really saw the laziness of it with those ballots. There were hundreds of thousands of ballots cast for Biden with nothing else selected on the ballot. No down ballot votes, no votes for the measures that the individual counties were looking to pass. They just voted Biden and submitted the ballot. And there are hundreds of thousands. Now, they said that statistically, generally, there's something like 20% of the ballots that are cast, people don't fill in all of the ballot. Now, mind you, that's 20% or so, 23% that don't fill in all of the ballot, but they fill in more than just the presidential race. So, you know, a lot of people, like my wife, she didn't know whether or not a particular judge was good or not. And so she didn't know whether to vote that, yes, they should remain as judge or not. So I don't know. I mean, I think she selected something, but I can see where someone might say, well, I'm not going to fill this one in. And in this election, in certain areas, certain key states, like Wisconsin, they had some insane number. It was like 48% in some districts of ballots where the only thing selected, the only race voted for was the presidency. And so actually that's a great thing. It means that a lot of the congressional races that this voter fraud would have caused us to lose, we actually won. We have districts with 60, 70% votes for Biden that voted in the Republican for the congressional district. And you wonder, like, are these people of two minds? Are they? Is it 70% of the people in this town are not like the rest of America, which are a bunch of low information voters that actually don't know anything about politics? That and instead they are, concerned about their civic duty and want to give Biden a chance, but also want to put a check on him. Nonsense. Absolute nonsense. These are fake ballots, lies. Last bit of good news. Looks like we're going to hold on to the Senate. God willing. Georgia, all of a sudden, is a liberal crap hole. I don't understand how that happened. But Georgia is holding the future of our nation in its hands with these Senate runoffs that they're going to have. The races are so close, and none of the candidates got over 50% of the vote, so they're going to have a runoff. And if we win both, we keep the Senate by the slimmest of margins, 51 to 49. Now, among our 51, we have people like Susan Collins and Mitt Romney. So it's by no means a sure thing that we're going to be able to put a check on Biden and Kamala. Mitt Romney trotted his weak, magical underwearing butt out in front of the cameras to congratulate President-elect Biden. So by no means does a 51-49 mean that we're going to be able to make Biden a lame duck in his first 2 years. But it's better than a tie, which Kamala would preside over, and it's far better than losing control of the Senate. Now, Stacey Abrams and all of her leftist lunatic followers and sycophants have come out and said that they're going to pour every dollar that they can into Georgia. So it's by no means a sure thing that we're going to win. But hopefully we will. And then, of course, we picked up a bunch of seats in Congress. We still don't have control there. But now on to the bad news. Joe Biden, in my opinion, doesn't make it to Valentine's Day. Now, people are saying I'm crazy. There's no way they would move that quickly, because if they did, then the midterms in 2022 would be a disaster for the Democrats. Nobody likes Kamala, and they're just not going to move that quickly. I tend to disagree. I think that if Joe Biden is installed as president, after all this, I think the Democrats are going to realize that they never have to have a free and fair election again. I don't think that they will ever concern themselves with needing to appease the moderates. I think they're going to bend over and grab the ankles for the lunatic left. With that in hand, they're going to move to have Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico become states, adding extra 2 far left states to our union is going to completely change the dynamics in the Senate. They're going to add 4 senators, 4 far left senators, especially the senators from D.C. They're going to add 4 far left senators to the Senate, and those 4 will never go Republican, plus whatever districts they add on in the Congress. They're going to pack the court. That was a foregone conclusion. They're going to pack the court. Now, I think that the lucky number is 13 for how many justices they're going to have, because they've gone ahead and they've already made the case for why 13 makes sense. So an addition of 4 far left judges means that forget originalism, forget any degree of constitutional thinking on the court. That'll be gone. With that in hand, there's no limit to what they can do. I mean, if you think about how much Trump got done with nothing more than piss and vinegar and motivation, and the Republican Senate, just imagine what these leftist lunatics with Kamala at the helm are going to be able to do when they have the Senate, Congress, and the courts. I mean, I don't see any light at the end of the tunnel. And I know, you got Ben Shapiro, who was, seeing things as very, very, very positive. But I don't see it. I don't see it as positive. I don't think Republicans win again ever if all of that happens. I think that will signal the end of America as we know it. And it's sad. It truly is a very, very sad thing to think about. Now, as far as all that's concerned, that's just for the American situation as I see it, right? The good, the bad, and the ugly, right? Still holding out hope that Trump pulls this off somehow, does the double backflip, lands on his feet, and he remains president for 4 more years. But there's one more thing that's happening that is scary. And that's this talk of the Great Reset. Now, I don't know if you guys have heard anything about it, but the Great Reset is a thing that's actually been sort of percolating and has been bubbling up since 2017. At least that's the first mention of it that I see the World Economic Forum talking about it. It's actually been around since way before that. It's had multiple iterations. Agenda 21 was a part of it back in 2012, 13 when Alex Jones was talking about it. And the Great Reset, and these people come out and they straight up say it. I have this video pulled up from the World Economic Forum. The Great Reset is governments getting together based on what's going on with COVID and the debt, the estimated $10 trillion in debt that all of these governments have put together, have spent in money to their people, in research, and whatever else, right? In bailouts. Like these people talk about, and the guy that talks about it is this freaking prick right here. I forget his name, but he is just a Lex Luthor, German accented, freaking disgusting worm of a man. And like he says, this debt's going to have to be paid. Because, as we all know, we don't own our money. Our money's not backed by anything. It's a debt-based economy. It's going to have to be paid. So how do we pay for it? Well, if you watch this video, and I actually have some timestamps, maybe we'll go through some of them. But how it's going to be paid is by basically unifying the world. I read a book about this called what was the name of that book? The Bible. The Bible. Yeah, these people are talking outwardly and openly, and they're not mincing words. They are looking to have a one world government, basically tied together not by values or like-mindedness or the same hopes and dreams or any of those things. No, tied together by debt, enslaved together by debt. And here's the thing, there's a big, bubbling up about it now, and people are talking a lot about it. But what's not told to us is that Joe Biden talked about it here when he spoke to the World Economic Forum in January of 2017. They were talking about this back then. Joe Biden, actually, when he did this speech for the World Economic Forum, it was the last speech that he gave as vice president. He gave it 2 days before the peaceful transfer of power over to Trump. Funny to say that. As he talked about it, and he said, as we hand over power to the new president, somebody in the audience booed, and he opened his eyes and no, no, no. The video of it is available if you guys want to see it. He talked about how it was only fitting that he came to Davos to give his last speech as vice president because Barack and I, as he put it, started our campaign here in Davos. Started our campaign. Campaign for American president outside of America? And then I remembered, that's right. These silly little pricks were out there in the first months of their election apologizing for the United States. Asking China and Paris and France and anybody else who would have us, how can we allow you to ream us? And then spent the next 8 years chopping up America, bringing her down to her knees, cutting her down to size. We all remember Michelle Obama talking about how she was proud of her country for the first time ever when Barack became president. These people told us who they were back then. Obama apologizing for American imperialism. He's the one that started this whole racial justice nightmare that we're all living in today. And in 2008, they started their plan in motion, and by the time they reached the end of their 8 years, Biden gives this speech. And if you listen to the speech, you would think it was given by Ayanna Presley yesterday. Buzzwords that in 2017 we hadn't even heard yet, like climate justice. We were laughing about AOC and Nancy Pelosi talking about climate justice 6 months ago. And we're like, climate justice? What the hell is that? What? Biden was talking about climate justice in 2017 in Davos. This is his speech, not that thing I had on the screen. Biden was talking about that back then. He was talking about America's need to reconcile its sins of racism. And now we look at the World Economic Forum and this video that on the Great Reset from, what was this, October? No, from July of this year. Now they're talking about climate justice. They're talking about the need for carbon to be taxed in order to pay for this great debt the world has incurred. They're talking about a rethinking of the economy, to rethink work, as they put it. The need to change the way that we operate from a meritocracy to a needs-based economy. This isn't new. I mean, for those of us who have been following this, we understand that this has been a long time coming. And you know, we've seen these little, we've gotten these little drops of information. I mean, they say the devil needs to let you know what he's doing. He's got to clue you in so that it's on you if you decide to follow. And this is what's going on here. They've been cluing us in for a while. And here's the thing. The election of Trump was a miracle. It was a momentary reprieve from the headlong dive we were on. I believe with all my heart that Hillary Clinton was the last piece. She was the one that was supposed to usher in all of this stuff. I believe that the reason for the unhinged, lunatic reactions that they had to Trump, the non-stop battle that they waged against Trump and his administration, the overt in-your-face changing of the rules on this election to steal this election. Clinton was supposed to be elected. She was supposed to be the one to usher all this in. We, as Americans, were never supposed to see, never supposed to have even the smallest glimmer of hope that America's economy could be turned around, that America could be energy independent. We were supposed to think, like Obama said, those jobs aren't coming back. Or what do you got, magic wand? The fact that the American people have gotten a taste of what America can be if she looks out for America first is a huge blow. A massive, massive blow to these globalist pricks. It's a gut punch. But I think 4 more years of Trump would have totally beheaded them. And that's why they couldn't let it go. They couldn't let it happen. There's no way they could let it happen. And you got to realize they are willing to burn it all down. They said it. And it wasn't allegory. And it wasn't hyperbole. It was a promise. They came out and said it. If Trump gets reelected, we burn it all down. Better to destroy the nation, to have the bodies piled up, than to interrupt the plans of the World Economic Forum and their globalist puppet masters. How the hell did we let it get here? You know, I think about all those people out there because, they did not, Biden did not get 71,000 fake votes. You know what I mean? He didn't get, 71 or 76 million fake votes. The people voted for this guy. Lots of people voted for this guy, and I think that's how we got here. You know, I think that's how we got here. I think there are tens of millions of fat, lazy, uninformed Americans in this nation. Life has become so easy. I doubt there are 1,000 people. Be generous. I'd say, 0.001% of the population that truly understands what absolute abject poverty is, what truly being completely and utterly dejected and hopeless for even your next meal. I doubt there's a handful of people in this nation. I mean, I can't think of any situation. Because you think about in the mountains of Appalachia, at the very least they have their freedom, right? Yeah, I mean, maybe there's a big meth problem and there's no running water and no electricity, but damn it, that squirrel's good. Such a rich and wonderful country. But for now, for generations, when you think about it, and probably since the Great Depression, for coming on 80 or 100 years, the vast majority of the people haven't had to go to bed hungry once. Found themselves jobless in a recession. Maybe they lost their home, lost their cars, and I went through all of that, and still, the country's so damn rich that you don't have health insurance. You go to the hospital, they got to take care of you. You don't have something to eat. Somebody's throwing away half a cheeseburger within a half a mile. You can dig it out of the garbage. Like, there's more food in the trash than anyone could eat in a lifetime. And so we've lost all of the people, all of our heritage of people who understood what struggle was. We've lost them all to time and age and death. And now we just have a sea of entitled, overweight, wealthy by world standards babies. And so I feel like just screaming. I feel like I'm screaming in the woods here. And I know you feel that way too. So many of us do. So many of us do. We have, so it just feels like we have no way of reaching those people. Trump did. Like I said, 4 more years because of this freaking COVID nightmare. He could have used 4 more years, and he says it himself, wealth and prosperity was bringing us together, and I believe that. I really do. I believe that had he had 4 more years, or if he gets 4 more years, we could have totally dug ourselves out of the hole we're in. So we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. If it doesn't play out that way, if Biden does get in, if by some horrible turn of fate the Senate does go to the Democrats, my plan is to soak the government for every dollar it has. You want to make programs, you want to pour money into, weed shops for POCs, I'll find a way. At that point, I figure the only hope I have for me and mine is to hoard as much cash as I can, buy myself a plot of land, someplace, 10 or 20 miles from the closest neighbor, and just stand back as it burns. I got 5 kids. They're the hope of the future. I'm not gonna dig in my heels and and you know and pound my fist and yell at the top of my lungs at a nation that can no longer hear me. So that's where I'm at. At the end of all this, if Trump pulls it off, great. In the next 4 years, I think we can turn this puppy around. And if he doesn't, well then I'm looking for land and a clear view to the road where I can snipe any oncoming hordes that might decide they want to take what I got. What else can you do? What else can you do? Anyways, let me take a look at some of the chat and see what's going on over here. SCDHL, fear thou not, for I am with thee. Amen. Be not dismayed, for I am God. I will strengthen thee, yea, I will help thee, yea, I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness. Amen. This world is weird. I actually think I see good versus evil. It's not. That's absolutely no doubt that what you're seeing is good versus evil. You're welcome. They're turning the freaking Dems gay. Very uninformed. Very, yep. Just Google a question. You don't have to have the Bible in your hand if you don't have one. Example, ask verses of strength and encouragement. I need those. I do. I feel bad. I feel pretty crappy. We're all in that place. Well, easy. I'm sorry that you're in that place with me. It's a crappy place to be, and that's right. It's a crappy place to be, but, and I made it through this whole podcast, and I didn't mention God once, and I feel ashamed for that, because ultimately I do. I have faith. I have faith. God is in control. And the future I see with Biden and the Democrat Senate and everything else is not a future I want. It's a future that I want to resist because like I said, it's not for me, right? I can make my own way. It's for my kids, my grandkids, the future. And it's going to be a hard and difficult future. But I don't think anybody can say that the Jews are worse off for their 40 years in the desert. I think definitely built character, and as a people today, nobody can say that they're unsuccessful. So I know God has a plan. I know that ultimately, I'm complaining about Americans being fat and happy and completely and totally uninterested and uninformed. And in a way, I'm asking for more of that, right? I'm asking for continued prosperity and success and for things not to crash and burn. Well, I guess all that will do is make them fatter and happier and need to be informed even less. So maybe it's time for a culling, right? Maybe it's time for this empire to fall like so many before it. We had a hell of a run, though, right? Hell of a run. Again, right? God's will be done. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the Bible verse SDCLH. I think I got that. Grateful for the verse reminding us that we're in His hands, and hopefully that'll stay on the forefront of my mind, because I don't want to feel crappy anymore. But anyways, this has been, and I guess in a way, the real official launch of this channel. I'm so grateful to you guys, everybody who's still watching, and I need your help to boost this channel as much as possible. It's tiny, so it doesn't show up on any algorithms. It just, it's in a sea of, I don't know, hundreds, thousands of other podcasts. So please share it, subscribe, send it to people, and let's get me up to 1,000 subscribers. I'd like to get monetized again, if at all possible. That sure would be nice. It sure would help towards purchasing my homestead and getting the hell out of cities. So thanks, you guys. Hey, have a great night, and I'll catch you all in the next one.